It was following the officers' ball. A young man, no older than 16, stopped us on the street, begging for some change. Felix pushed him away, but he was persistent. He only wanted a few coins. Like a flash, Felix snapped and wouldn't let go of him. He would not stop punching him. I have never seen anything so brutal.
But he was never charged for the attack.
Felix called the captain at the station and said that the boy had tried to rob him, and he was merely defending himself. The boy was thrown behind bars without a second thought. It was a full week before the bruises on Felix's knuckles finally faded.
And even after witnessing such a brutal assault, you still support him. You still believe that he had not attacked Elizabeth.
The days following, he showed no signs of remorse, no apology to him or to me. I blamed it on the amount he had had to drink. But when you began talking about him finding Elizabeth in his study, I somehow knew it had happened again.
Had you been open about the Major's temper, this could all have been avoided. When you tell the courts the truth, Mademoiselle Elizabeth's self-defense plea cannot be ignored.
Just when I thought I could not see a more spineless move.
Excuse me?
You allowed a bully and thug to remain in your house and endanger your family.
Es un pendenciero.
I'm sorry, Margot, but I am struggling to understand why you have involved yourself in this affair.
Oh.
I'm surprised you can hear me way up there on that high horse of yours.
How dare you speak to me in that way? Who I decide to keep in my house is my decision and no one else's.
I can see that. Murderers, thieves, and extortionists are all acceptable, it seems.
Countess, I have talked at length of the Major's death, but not the reason for my invitation in the first place. When I last gathered you all together, I spoke of a blackmail ring that was rife in the area, and then of the letter that the Major had received.
Se estaba acá la cara.
Mademoiselle Angeline requested my help personally after she received such a letter threatening her family name. She felt I was the only one that could uncover the truth. And uncover the truth I have.
Get on with it, detective. Who dared try and extort my family and then have the gall to allow me to welcome them into my home?
If it was not for the honesty of a young servant, I would perhaps still be looking for the
For goodness sake, it was me.
Margot, how could you?
While it looked as though the Countess was helping the young women at the shelter, she was in fact only finding them positions of employment in wealthy homes to gather information on them and learn secrets that she would ultimately be able to use against them. Monsieur da Silva fell victim to her network of moles and was in turn blackmailed. It was quite the prosperous setup you had, knowing that they would not be prepared to lose their social standing if a secret was to find its way from where it had been hidden for so long.
That cannot be true, Margot. How could you do such a cruel thing?
That is rich, coming from you.
You are one of my oldest friends.
Och.
High and mighty Madame Van den Bosch. You think you can do what you wish when you wish it and there will be no repercussions. You are as bad as all of them.
If I do not get a straight answer out of you, I will march you to the police station myself.
I'm surprised it took the Major this long to start living with you. He must have been on the edge for some time.
Och.
How dare you speak to me like that? In my own home.
Pelea de tigresas.
A home you share with the father of your daughter for so many years, and she still remains none the wiser.
You have no right.
Och.
Maman,
Angeline? Have you heard what she has admitted to? She is merely trying to make herself...
Is what she says true? Felix, he was my father? That is the secret that the letter was talking about, isn't it? You told me that we had nothing to hide. Detective Poirot, were you aware of this?
Oui, mademoiselle. But it was not my place to repeat.
I don't understand. What about father?
your maman betrayed the love of a good, honest man and played away behind his back and then kept it hidden for all these years like a lady of the night with her client list.
Se lo dijo.
You will say no more. Angeline, I...
Did Felix know?
This is not an appropriate conversation.
He knew,
Que
dear
hables,
girl.
huevona, habla.
He knew the whole time. It is only dear Edwin that was
Estaba
blind to their
enamorada de
deceit.
Edwin.
You will not talk of him like that. You will not talk of him at all.
If I don't, who will? You never
Uy,
deserved
creo
him.
que
You
estaba
don't even
enamorada,
deserve the memory of him.
Countess, there is something that you still have not explained.
What more is there for her to say?
How long were you in love with the Viscount for?
Margot? Is that true?
Uy,
We
Iván.
were destined to be together. And then you turned up. And I was all but forgotten about.
A la verga. Menudo lío de argumento.
But you were nothing more than friends.
Pues no, era más que amigos, se comían bien duro.
And you made sure of that, didn't you? From the day you arrived, it was all about what you wanted and what you had to do to get it. You didn't consider Edwin at all. He was just a
A la
burst to
madre.
you.
I loved my husband, and I miss him every day.
Esta mañana los periódicos se va a quedar millonaria.
Loved him enough to stray?
Both of you, no more!
Please, Angeline, let me explain.
Maman, I do not wish to hear anything else from you.
Not even your own daughter wants to hear your lies anymore. Cassandra Van den Bosch, all alone.
How dare you!
Y se ríe. Y está viendo que dejó la cagada y se
While
va.
I feel a sense of satisfaction and pride in solving both cases, there is still a part of me that is reluctant to revel in triumph. I am content with the unmasking of Comtesse de Vos as the blackmailer, and knowing that she will pay for her crimes. But it is the justice for Mademoiselle Elizabeth that worries me. She will stand in a court of law, and I can only hope that they can see she acted in self-defense. I must trust that our legal system and justice will prevail, and a fair sentencing will be given. In protecting her own life, she took the life of another. Perhaps the guilt she must live with is a greater punishment than any sentence she can receive.
No jodas, que este es el final.
Countess de Vos was taken from Nemozine House in cuffs and placed under arrest. Although she initially tried to plead her innocence, Inga, along with a number of other girls that the Countess had found employment for, came forward and made full statements.
Refugio para mujeres, epicentro de la red de extorsión. Uy, va. Porque sí, pasa al siguiente. Vaya por él, no pasa.
She was charged with 5 counts of blackmail and extortion and sent to a house of corrections, where she will have a new life to become accustomed to. Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rihanna were also reprimanded for their participation. While they may not be facing time in prison, tampering with a crime scene and obstruction of a police investigation are certainly not something that houses and new employers will look positively on.
En una escena de crimen construyeron una investigación policial. Clasificado. Entre lo que tarda en terminar los créditos, me da tiempo de ir por agua y venir corriendo. Voy a dejar que pase al siguiente y voy corriendo por agua. Es que me da tiempo. Aunque puedo ir ahora porque creo que no va a nada, así que voy corriendo.
Mademoiselle Angeline finally became Madame Demire, and together they took up residence in England, where Monsieur Demire continues to support and fight for fairness and equality in London. I am happy to say that we have remained in contact, and Madame Demire has become a regular correspondent of mine.
Me dio
And
tiempo
the
a leer lo
latest
otro.
joyous news is that they are expecting a child of
Estoy
their
aquí
own.
con mi agüita.
Madame van den Bosch showed compassion that I had not seen in her before. She stood in court and gave a truthful and genuine character reference of Elizabeth, as well as describing the major and the atrocious crimes he had committed.
O sea, defendió.
After Madame van den Bosch's secret was revealed to the world, her position in the social hierarchy was no more, disappearing in a moment. While she still resides in Belgium, I believe she has had to adapt to a far more modest way of life. A humbling experience for her, I am sure.
El secreto de que estaba como amante, ¿no? Básicamente. Y de que, pues, no era su hija, pero no de su padre, sino de Félix.
Following her actions in the courtroom, Angeline believed that her maman still had a place in her life. Although they are on different sides of La Manche, they remain in contact.
Esto va más lento que mi abuela.
Mademoiselle Conrad left Nemozinet House the same way she entered, confident in herself and audacious in her opinions. Her report of the Major's murder at the house and the surrounding blackmails became one of the most talked about stories of the year.
¿Qué fue lo que yo dije? Esta señora se estaba haciendo millonaria.
While there were certain details of her own involvement that did not make it to print, she was really quite complimentary about the detective at the heart of the case. Monsieur de Silva tried to continue in his position as factory owner and business entrepreneur, but after his accounts and business dealings were investigated following the details of his blackmail being made public in Mademoiselle Conrad's article, his illustrious business empire began to crumble and is now facing an international corporate investigation.
Básicamente, Poirot ha ido a esa casa, ha investigado a un chantajista, ha investigado un crimen y técnicamente ha hecho que toda la gente que había allí rica estén cayendo como tortugas hacia abajo.
Monsieur Beckers stepped down from his position as union leader, accepting that he was no longer fit to represent the workforce that, in his words, he had let down on a scale of unmeasurable proportion. Although he is no longer the voice of the workers, he continues to support them from behind the scenes.
Dios mío, un año. Un año los créditos.
Monsieur Zachariah and his brother made amends, and returning to his family home, and after sobering up, he was able to find the help that he required. I understand that he is now helping fellow soldiers with similar conditions. And Mademoiselle Elizabeth, she stood before a court, and while the proceedings were deemed controversial, the
Oof.
charges against her were dropped, and the
Menos mal.
reasoning of self-defense was accepted by the presiding judge.
Se salvó.
Madame Van den Bosch's testimony, along with Mademoiselle Angeline's declaration of her good character, was enough to show that it was not in Elizabeth's nature to act in such a violent way.
De algo sirvió esa vieja bruja.
The abundance of evidence against the Major, and his violent and cruel nature, including his appalling acts during the strikes and the war, was more than enough to prove that Mademoiselle Elizabeth had no other option in that situation but to defend herself in any way that she could. With the new arrival of Madame and Monsieur Demire's child next year, they have agreed to give Elizabeth the opportunity to return home to England
O
and take
bueno,
up a position in their home
ha subido
as
de
nanny.
puesto, ¿no? De sirvienta a niñera ha subido bastante de puesto. Me comentaste a retango porque va esto muy lento.
The death of Elizabeth's beloved Luc has been at the center of everything. Had those in positions to help not acted with only themselves in mind, perhaps he would still be alive today, and the Major would have paid the price for his own crimes in the eyes of the law, not at the blade of a knife.
¿Ese era Lu? Normal, que Elizabeth enamorada, ¿eh? El vídeo va a durar 1 hora. Los créditos, 1 hora.
The blood of Major Felix Egan will remain on Elizabeth's hands. A stain that wherever she is and whatever she may do, she will never be able to wash clean. However, it will remain as a reminder to not only her, but all of us, of what we as human beings are capable of to protect ourselves.
Era la vida de ella o la de él. Él la iba a matar. En su vida. Más que lo hicieron.
We all have something that may be considered shameful or sinful, and it is how we deal with it that shows our true character. Those involved in the riots, the workers' deaths, and the major's killing believed themselves to be untouchable.
Mientras esto está tardando 80 años en terminar, yo voy a ser sincera, no sé si lo dije antes. Espérate. No sé si lo dije antes, no sé si lo he dicho en otros juegos de Agatha Christie. No me acuerdo, sinceramente, pero lo voy a decir ahora. Y voy a dar mi opinión sobre este juego, sobre los demás juegos que puedo jugar de Agatha Christie. Primero vamos a empezar por este juego. Este juego me gusta la historia.
Whether it was from their social standing or their confidence in themselves, they learned that everyone is accountable for their actions. There is no exemption because of the suit you wear or the money in your bank account.
Me gusta la historia, ha sido entretenida, pero me ha faltado chicha. Me ha faltado más misterio, me ha faltado más puzzles. En general, puzzles de lo que sea. Me ha faltado más como aventura, terror, un poquito más de misterio. Y no todo el rato mental de que, ay, tengo una pista, pues tengo que buscar la mentalidad de poner esto con esto para que vea una respuesta.
There is no price to a man's life.
Esto no me gusta tanto.
It cannot be bought or traded or discarded. No man is better than another, including Detective Hercule Poirot.
Entonces, la historia sí, pero me ha faltado chicha, me falta más cositas. Luego ya el tema de la jugabilidad y todo eso, te ha dicho con la mentalidad, todo eso de tengo que buscar relacionar esto con esto y luego que esto me dé una respuesta para que yo pueda dar una pregunta a esta persona. Eso no me ha gustado. Luego el tema de la jugabilidad, lo del clic o sea, el clic sí me gusta porque anteriores juegos lo tenía, pero es que este estaba más bugueado que la vida. Era horrible, ha sido horrible. Luego, por este lado, este juego así, si tuviera que dar de 10 a... tuviera que darle un puntaje de 10, le daría un... Es que lo siento mucho, le daría un 5. 5 por la historia. Ya, nada más. Es entretenido y todo eso, pero yo esperaba algo más. No es el mejor juego de Agatha Christie. Ahora, este sería este es el quinto juego que juego de Agatha Christie. El cuarto juego para mí fue una mierda. No me gustó ni la jugabilidad, no me gustó ni la historia, para mí fue un poco aburrida. Los gráficos muy bien y todo eso, todo lo que quieras, pero fue un cambio muy fuerte de los 3 primeros juegos al cuarto. El cuarto no me gustó nada. O sea, este está en 5 de 10. El cuarto está 3 de 10. O sea, no me gustó nada. Realmente yo lo jugué, lo terminé por terminarlo. No estaba ni entretenida ni nada, me aburría jugar ese juego. Pero dije, voy a terminarlo porque voy a terminarlo. Pero es que realmente no me gustó ni la historia, nada. La movilidad, pues sí, es mejor que esta, pero los gráficos también me recordaban mucho a The One Among Us, pero realmente no me gustó nada. El 3 es el de que fue en la playa. Me gustó. Lo que cabe, la jugabilidad, obviamente, pues igual que los dos primeros, bastante aceptable. Un buen juego. Me gustó, estuvo buen, pero la historia también fue un poquito pero mucho, bastante bien. Me encantó jugarlo, un poquito enredoso y todo eso. Pero si tuviera que dar un puntaje, sería un 7 de 10. Me gustó. Aceptable, lo volvería a jugar. Probablemente sí. Pero para mí mismo, obviamente. El 2 fue el del 3. El 3 fue el que... No, mira, mentira. El 3 le daría un 8. Vamos a ver con el 2. El 2 obviamente le bajaría a un 7. ¿Y por qué un 7 al 2? Porque es que fue un poquito en el medio enredo. También está el tren para arriba. Tengo que ir a un vagón, tengo que ir a otro. La historia sí estuvo bien, me gustó también. Pero creo que el 3 estuvo muchísimo mejor. Entonces por eso lo subo a un 8. Estuvo bastante bien el 3 y todo eso. El 2 fue como más enredo, más para arriba y para abajo. Una historia que fue un poquito nivelada, con mucha nieve, un poco complicada, un poquito gel, pero estuvo bastante bien, los puzzles aceptables y todo eso. Así que un 7. Y obviamente el primer juego de Agatha Christie, el de los 10 negritos, te va a llevar un 10. Porque para mí, sinceramente, el juego de Agatha Christie, de los que yo he jugado, el primero es el mejor de todos. La historia, las muertes, a eso me refiero con chicha. Había muertes, había muchas muertes. La historia, las muertes, los misterios, quién era el asesino, quién era la asesina. Eran dos. Había una entrada secreta. La casa tenía como un jardín enorme. Había una puerta secreta. La historia es maravillosa. La historia del primero, la jugabilidad del primero, los acertijos, los puzzles, las cuevas. El primero para mí es mi favorito. El mejor juego de Agatha Christie para mí es el primero. Lo va a ser siempre. A no ser que aparezca otro que sea idéntico. De Agatha Christie obviamente me refiero. Idéntico, con la misma jugabilidad, con la misma experiencia, con las mismas muertes, con la misma chicha, con una historia que te entretiene. Pues me quedaré loca, pero de momento el primero para mí es el mejor, es el 10. Y es que también te voy a decir una cosa, algo que no me está gustando de los dos últimos Agatha Christie que he jugado, el 4 y este, es que no hay escenas. El primero, el segundo, el tercero había escenas, había cinematográfica, había muchas cinematográficas. Y a mí eso me encantaba, me entretenía ver, aparecía un muerto, un cinematográfica, aparecía alguien que ha acusado, cinematográfica. Había una charla en reunión entre todos, cinematográfica. Empezabas un nuevo capítulo, cinematográfico. A mí me encantaba eso. O terminaba un capítulo, también había cinematográfico. No sé por qué ahora no lo han hecho así. Lo están quitando todo, solamente es novela visual, solamente se habla, solamente se prueba en mente de juntar esto con esto, con esto, con esto, con esto. Y eso aburre. Porque siento que es todo el rato lo mismo. Pero bueno. Esta ha sido mi opinión con este juego, con todos los juegos que he jugado de Agatha Christie. Creo que han salido 2 más. No sé si lo voy a jugar, tengo que averiguar si comprarlos o no los compro. si los traigo o no los traigo y ver opiniones sobre eso. ¿Cómo va? Así que, chao, chao. Coño, tengo los créditos, tonto, esto es lo que he metido. Poirot, ¿qué es esto? Ah, qué susto. Digo, hay otro, hay más parte. Bueno, pues adiós.